We enjoyed it too.
It's like Inglourious Bastards.
You see it?
Yeah, it says live on Facebook in the upper left-hand corner.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
it does.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Oh god.
Okay, so live on Facebook.
So should we start this like a show?
We should actually. And I just tested. We have the capability. We have the technology to play music on the internet. It's an amazing new thing. It says we're redirecting to
Hello,
Facebook
viewers and listeners.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Ty, with your great mug. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Nora, what do you think?
I don't want to advertise.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's good. You're right. And Marya, I like all your plants. That's cool.
I know. You guys have way better.
Plants are great. You know,
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to read that book, Plants Do the Strangest Things, all the time. It was super interesting. It had a great section on meat-eating plants. And,
oh, God.
Yeah, and then the author of it ended up being central to a really sad story. She was in an abusive relationship, and her abusive partner killed their kid, and she was like legally investigated for like enabling it or something, but she was just another victim in the story, really. And it's just a really sad story, but my kids still read that, and I'm like, I know all this tragic backstory of this author now. I'll spare them that, you know, but yeah. Hedonist Bound. She later wrote a book about it too, like a memoir.
Oh, it says happening now.
Okay.
With 3 people.
Whoa! Hello, 3 people.
Hey, 3
yeah,
people.
What's up, 3
people?
That's like some early punk shows in the UK. So
yeah, totally.
We have someone. Shane Scott says hello from Kansas City. So hello, Shane Scott from Kansas City.
Hello from here.
Hey, Kansas City.
Yeah.
So, if you want to feel really disoriented, oh geez, oh my gosh,
what's happening?
Yeah,
it's freaking me out. Sorry, I had exactly the problem. I was just saying, don't listen to it. I was listening to it, and it was coming through loud and clear in my headset, but 20 seconds ago. So,
the most important.
You were time traveling.
Don't live in the past. Don't live in the past. There's only now, Ty.
If you want to feel dizzy, go to our Facebook page.
Keep the digital screens over our reptilian features. That's the main thing.
Yes.
That stuff glitches out. We're going to have a problem.
I'm going to now we're going to start the show like a real show.
Like officially. Okay.
Officially.
Cool.
Let's see. I'm going to share computer sound. And I'm going to start playing the music here. I feel like we should cover our faces with our hands.
Oh, I know. This feels.
Get ready.
Look away.
Get ready. Here it comes. I'm just going to take a swig of beer.
They're out for life.
City on the edge. City on the edge.
City on the edge.
City on the edge. Oh my God, it's City on the Edge live on your screen, happening right now. This is a truly amazing time to be alive. You can find out about Albuquerque's past.
Ty is rapping over the music.
This is a new format.
I would have thought I wouldn't be very good at that. Okay.
Our listeners should know that that's not just any random song. That's Weather King from Soltero from his very cool album Times Were Evil and You Were Beautiful. But Soltero's hits album is so great. It's so good. I don't even know if Weather King's on it, but that is a fantastic collection.
Well, welcome to the podcast, which is now a live streaming video cast.
Yeah.
I'm Ty Bannerman, which you can see from my little name tag there. That's Nora Hickey below me. We've got Woody6 over here and Marya's iPhone. But yeah, we are joined with a guest, Marya Errin Jones.
Hi.
We're very happy to see
Who
you.
we've had before.
You have been on the show before. One of our best events ever. You were
totally
right there with us, and it was fantastic.
That was fun.
Yeah. So I thought we should do a quick little like COVID-19 quarantine check-in. This is the 60th day of quarantine by
Yep.
my count, which is I count it from the day my kids first missed school, because that's when my life came to a shuddering halt.
I don't know what month it is, how many days, anything. I'm impressed. So
I've been marking them on my calendar like a prisoner, just scratch each day.
Wow.
What's the first date that you can remember that you were at home?
I think March 16th stands out in my mind right now.
Huh.
What about you? Is that about right, you think?
I went home on Friday the 13th, March 13th, and didn't go back. I was just like, that's it for me.
I feel like that's probably what happened, because UNM shut down and everything shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So
after my St. Patty's Day bar crawl, then I was like, I better stay in.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I didn't do that.
Wait a minute.
I was like, no.
I didn't do that.
Especially responsible.
Like,
Nora, no.
I am from Wisconsin though, and the idiots there are just.
Yeah.
I brought my mask just in case.
Just in case it's digitally transmitted.
Wisconsinite bar crawlers burst in here because they're going all over the place. I don't know if you saw.
We're doomed if it can be transmitted via internet.
What
It's
happened? Over.
So bad.
So yeah, let's do a little check-in. Well, Marya, you're our guest. Why don't we start with you? You are first of all, tell us about the Tannex, just for people who maybe don't know about the Tannex. Just real quick, like what is it when we're not in a pandemic?
Yeah, okay. So the Tannex is a performance space here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It is located in Borellis, the oldest village in Albuquerque. Am I right about that? I think I'm right about that.
Pretty old.
I think that is right.
So yeah.
I think Etrisco might give it a run for its money, but
yeah, it's on the original Route 66 on the Camino Real. Mm-hmm. It's a garage, but I've hosted about 600 shows in that room. All kinds of music, experimental, jazz, punk, chamber music, puppet shows, movie screenings, zine readings, play readings, just hanging out, that kind of stuff.
Like it's a big part of the Albuquerque performance scene.
Totally.
Yeah, a lot of things have happened there. A lot of a lot of bands played the Tannex first and then, kept going. Some bands played their last shows there. So, and then the last event that was there was, I think, March 10th or something. I think that it was right before, it was the week that we all basically started to stay home.
Yeah.
It was the last show at the Tannex.
Did you know it was going to be the last one, or did it feel like it? Or
I had no idea. I mean, it had like a weird tension, and then kind of a releasing at the same time. The Tannex is kind of a temporal space, and so those things kind of happen. People are processing a lot of feelings, so it did feel. Place. It kind of felt like an ending of some sort, but who knew which one, what kind.
Yeah, the Tannex can never end. The Tannex is forever. No, that's all I can say. That if I think of my top favorite shows of all time, half of them probably have been around there, and it's great. I once fainted at a show because I was so overcome by the music at the Tannex.
What?
And Hell from Tacoma. Oh my God, melted my face.
Are you sure it wasn't just because you were like tired or hadn't eaten lunch or something?
No, they were amazing. I totally understood metal in that hour.
Did you faint onto the couch or like in the parking lot? Because I don't remember this.
Oh, I love it. And then at that same show, I just had to just go run for a while. I was so feeling it. But the Tannex is amazing. It's just like, think of all the wonderful singing the word night boat for an hour with an insane crowd. Oh my God.
Insane.
Amazing. It was so much. What are we on, folks? Night.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Oh my God. Yeah, so the Tannex is 7 years old this year.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It outlived the thing that its name was originally kind of connected to, the tan.
Yeah, exactly. There was a gallery. a gallery next door started by the gallery space next to the Tannex has been a different gallery multiple times. So in its carnation in that the Tannex was around, it was called the Tan, and it was run by Andrew Lyman. So Andy Lyman and I started the Tannex along with Joe Cardillo, and we just call it the Tannex. So it's the annex to the Tan. So that's how that name came around, and the name
that makes sense.
stuck.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it's all part of the larger Borellis art block, which has had a presence in that general area in Borellis since like the 70s at least, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's small engine gallery. Now there's 1415 gallery, but it was like the donkey gallery. It was it was the Tan. It was like
the normal before the Tan.
The normal.
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
I saw one thing there.
Yeah, it was like
Who makes a review thing?
Now, quick question.
Yeah.
There was a place nearby called the Petting Zoo.
There was
insane?
The petting zoo. Where was
it an actual petting zoo?
No.
No? Okay, I always wondered. I saw it on a map one time. It was like petting zoo.
Petting
it was like,
zoo.
that seems like a bad place to have a petting zoo, just
Another
like in the middle
amazing
of the city. So I'm glad to hear.
Memory, Al Hurricane and Al Hurricane Jr. showing up there to help complete the mural on the side of the building.
Yep, there's a mural to Al Hurricane. If you don't know Al Hurricane, he was a local hero, musician. He played with Chubby Checker back in the day. And so Luke, our friend Luke, who's also known as Brapola, did the outline for this beautiful outline for the mural, and then the whole community came together to paint the mural. And Al Hurricane was living at the time. He has since gone on to the big concert in the sky where you can play. There's no COVID there. There's no Rona there. So he was there and he signed the wall, and it was a really cool day.
Wow.
It was really cool. So yeah.
Hey guys, we've just got some really terrible news from one of our commenters. They say that the Shane Scott, who's in Kansas City, says he just ran out of Dion's green chili ranch.
Oh man.
Just now.
No.
So he doesn't know.
Bite the cyanide pill. It's over.
It's over.
I'm sorry.
That's
no.
Can they
order more? I wonder.
No.
Probably online.
Well, right now you can.
You could pay. I bet Mike to drive it to you. Like no stopping.
Make it worth my while.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to our quarantine checkup. Yeah.
Okay.
So Marya, tell me about your quarantine experience now.
What
how's it been? What's it like for you? I haven't talked to you in months, so just spent a lot of time inside.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of an it's weird to say this, but I am an introvert. I am a performer. I've done lots of theater, a good portion of my life. I run the performance space and stuff, but I really do like being home, and I feel really comfortable. And it's a little lonely. I'm here by myself with just a bevy of plants that are just really sick of me repotting them. That's probably what's happening right now. So, but mostly it's like I'm working from home. I'm like fortunate to be able to work from home, and that's really great. Yeah. And I've been able to, just kind of focus on decompressing from just, an intense, busy life. It's been a really busy few years, and also running the space and everything. This has kind of given me a little bit of time to decompress. And, I do have, family that I'm helping to take care of, so they don't have to go out. So, it comes with its bits of tension, but, and I just moved. So, it's kind of weird, like to just have moved and been in my place for like a month before this hit. So it's kind of weird. But I've gotten to know my neighborhood a little bit. I've done a little bit of, walking around safely in a mask.
Which is required.
In a mask at all times. And I go and pick up a loaf of bread, every week from the, bakery around the corner. And that I think has kind of kept things feeling a bit real to me. Like being inside all the time doesn't feel as real, but then going outside and remembering that there are other people, and there are, animals, and there are cars. I mean, it's a way to keep reality kind of in check, I guess.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Nora? How's your experience been the last few weeks?
I think, I don't know if I've debuted them, but I was one of the first to get Corona bangs, quarantine bangs.
Oh God, let me see.
Can you see?
Not
I'm
only
sorry
that,
it's so
but-
dark in here.
Wow.
You're like blipping in and out of invisibility.
Isn't
That's
yeah.
really weird.
My husband Clay cut them for me, and
Oh.
I've just been trying to learn how to style them ever since. So I'm
Nice.
totally good in self-isolation because it's just all about the bang styling.
Yeah. And we have to point out, you're no longer in Albuquerque. You no longer live here.
Right.
You live
Heartbreaking.
in Colorado.
Yes.
And
Yes.
You're,
Boo.
you're spiritually and emotionally and mentally in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Honorarily.
I bet you are, though. Is that what's happening because you're in a new place where you don't really know things that well? Are you sort of just reverting back to a Albuquerque consciousness?
Yeah. And honestly, I always look at the Albuquerque Journal, for better or for worse, but I look at the Albuquerque news. I
nice.
feel more hit by the businesses closing there. And of
Oh, yeah.
course, I want businesses to do well in Fort Collins, but I have no attachment to them. So it's kind of
Right.
like,
Last
Just sort of
call
like-
I saw is closing.
I heard they were
Yeah.
closing before
Oh.
the
Oh, really?
thing hit. Is that
I
right?
went there.
It wasn't my favorite, but like it was a place to end up sometimes late at night when you wanted a taco.
I was
Yeah.
always mad because it was closed whenever I needed a taco, which is during the
Yeah.
day because I have kids and I don't leave a house after the sun goes down.
Yeah. Well, Morrow plays a lot of shows, so we find ourselves out and about sometimes late. I mean, we did back when people went places.
Right.
Yeah.
Ye olden
And-
times.
Yeah. And you, Mike, now you're stuck
well,
inside.
Good and bad stuff. Our cat died today. Our old
So
cat.
sorry.
He
Today?
wasn't even that old. He was 12 years old, but he had severe
Oh,
kidney
man.
failure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But we have
R.I.P.
these
beef
two
child.
adorable kittens also. I'll go get them at some point. They're really cute. They'll give us ratings.
ratings.
Great, yeah.
Facebook ratings.
We're gonna go viral.
That's the smiley face and not the
They're
mad
adorable. I'll be right back.
All
Okay,
right.
so Ty,
Stay tuned for kittens.
how's
is going on?
yours?
I just breathed in beer.
Oh God.
Might take a second.
Yeah.
Okay, breathe. Okay. All right, Norris.
Oh,
The
excuse
two
me.
of us. Let's save the show.
I'm about to
We
fall
can
under the
do
table.
it.
We can do it.
It is the weirdest feeling of being too busy because, of course, kids are home. They need a certain amount of attention. I mean, they're doing
Yeah.
homeschooling, but then you have to like make sure they get to their virtual class on time. And then I am working. I'm doing a lot of editing with KUNM right now. It
Mhm.
just feels like there's always stuff going on. But then
I mean,
as
come
soon
on.
as
That's
that
super cute.
stops. Oh, look how
You
cute those
look
are.
at those things.
Look at them.
Holy moly.
That's unreal.
Look at
You
them.
can't see them yet. Oh my God.
Those
They
are so cute.
Slain.
Wow.
Slain by cats. By kittens.
Heartbreakingly beautiful.
So cute. Save them. Save them. Is this a telethon?
This is Ice King.
Must be.
'Cause he has a
Ice
little white
King.
beard like the Adventure Time character.
Oh,
Ice
And-
King's a really good name.
Yeah. And that's Marceline, because she kind of has a V on her
Marceline.
forehead,
oh.
which is also kind of an M, which is doubly appropriate.
Oh,
Also from that
God.
show, which is
They're
great.
so
Everyone
cute.
should.
They're really cute.
But so like now we have 2 cats only because one of our cats went feral and lives at a neighbor's house now that he just likes more.
Oh,
Like 2 doors away. She has
What
a
the hell?
open cat door. I know.
It didn't go
Yeah.
feral. It found a new house.
yeah, I
it
was gonna
rejected
say,
you. Like, it didn't like
Yeah.
choose the wild over
Well, we
you.
thought it
It's
was
just,
feral, and then it turned
it's
out-
rejected you. It's like I like humans. I still like these guys.
So
Oh.
my daughter Willow, who is just turned 7, she claims she can understand animals, and I'm convinced. She like gives me the best transcriptions of what they say all the time. She's like, "Mocat hates it here. He hates all of you." I'm like, "I think you're right." Like,
Oh.
jeez. The unfiltered, Anyway,
Oh my God.
one day
um,
she's gonna be like, Dad, you gotta lock them out of your room. They want to kill you or something really evil.
No.
yeah. Oh, I'll listen to her for sure. But here, check this out. This is a poem I wrote based on my daughter's weird things, her animal transmissions. Animals talk to my daughter, who is 6, and she understands them. 2 doves told her today to stay out of trees. That's their realm. Some dogs are just yelling, go away. Cats, when they're purring, are saying, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Oh,
That's
Oh
very
God.
sweet.
that's really
Yeah.
nice.
It's all from her, you know, basically. That's the great thing when you can just mind kids what they say. It's great. If you ever hang out with kids, mind them for words.
Yeah, I did that
Yeah.
for a bit once. But my
Fresh
son has
insights.
rejected my, like, he says I can't do that. My kids say I can't do that anymore. So I can't post cute things that they say, or sometimes I'll
Really?
post a picture or something. But yeah, they're
Just say, no one would have ever heard of Winnie the Pooh if A.A. Milne hadn't minded his kids' stuff.
and
So,
Christopher Robin had a miserable childhood. So
oh,
Oh,
bad
geez.
example. Well, should we give some structure to this?
well, I wanted to hear a little bit more about your quarantine experience. First of all,
Yeah.
we got
Oh.
distracted by kittens.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh.
you.
I've been writing
Looking right
a lot,
at you.
so that's good. Writing, cleaning, chasing kids around, and Willow's birthday was on May 4th, and that's when we gave her the kittens. She opened them up in a little
Aw.
box with like a shoebox with a lid that opened, and
Aw.
Sweet.
and it was great. Just squealing for like a minute straight. It was it's great. Yeah. So success. It was totally unsuspected. So
Cool.
Nice.
anyway, yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, overall okay. I mean, it's distressing to me that people aren't being very safe walking around and stuff like
Sure.
that. And like sometimes we'll be like, let's go out to the foothills, and then we get out there and we've got our masks and stuff, and it's just like there's people everywhere, and so we leave before.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
It's like I wanted to write like a little will after I went to Saman's, that hardware store. Like, if I get COVID, it's because everyone at Saman's is an idiot. Like, all the employees were like up in my grill, man. They were
Oh,
like
God.
so like in my face the whole time there. I was
Like,
mad.
can I help you? Can I? Hi.
I'm like,
Do you need
I'm
some
just
help?
trying to social distance, man, because there's a global pandemic going on, at least according to the WHO, and then you
Oh,
got to
it's
be
all
like this
fake.
jerk.
Yeah.
That anyway. Like,
So
Well, what do
as
you think
somebody,
about- What's going to happen now? Because today the governor during a press conference said that everybody has to wear a mask in public. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Are we going to get some?
Whoa.
We're going to get some Wisconsin, vibes.
yeah.
I
Oh,
just
I
wonder
hope
what's
not.
going to
The
happen.
No.
pushback, right?
there's
Or
no
we'll-
teeth to it. There's no, like, it's not a law. It's just you have
No,
to,
it's
she
not a
says,
law.
but you
It's
can't,
not a
like,
law.
you don't, like, no one's going to make you. She said the policeman might speak sternly to you,
Mm.
which, nobody wants a policeman to speak sternly to
No.
them, but,
Every time she tweets anything like "wash your hands," there's like a million hate tweets on there.
I
responses.
know.
It's like,
That's what's so, yeah.
That's stupid.
ugh.
So she has loosened the restrictions to the point that small businesses are at can open to 25% capacity,
Mhm.
big box stores to 20% capacities, and then like churches to 10%.
Mhm.
I feel like it's a pressure release tactic. She's
I
just
do
like
too.
turning the valve.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
Yeah.
then, maybe next week the cases go up and just like, it didn't work, so we're gonna have to clamp down again, because it seems like they probably will to me.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
think
so
so.
cute. I can't handle it. Look at that.
So I had a question for you, Mike, about your quarantine experience, because you like me have children, and you're working as well, right?
Kind of. I'm on the payroll at the School for the Blind and Visually Impaired still, but I've only made 2 deliveries the whole
Okay.
time. They text me once in a while like, we need to deliver some classroom gear, but they've been really decent to me. Though I do think that ends at the end of the school year, which is coming up fast.
Well, one thing
So,
I've been
I have to
noticing
scramble.
is with kids and a job and stuff, just different stuff, and maybe
Yeah.
this is true if you don't have kids as well. It's really busy, really busy, really busy,
Oh, yeah.
and then stop. And as soon
Yeah.
as, like, the whole time I'm like busy, I'm like, oh man, I just wish I could just kind of chill out and like not worry about anything. As soon as it stops, it's like the void opens
Oh,
up
yeah.
before me.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, global
Yeah.
pandemic. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
escape my house. I can't leave my house. Can't. So is that something you guys have experienced too a little bit?
You know, I was an antisocial existentialist before all this stuff began, at least on and off. And, you know, it's nice to hole up and just work on your work and keep to yourself sometimes. But, you know, I miss like normal things. I miss going out to shows and movies and all that stuff. And I miss people. It's like crazy that we can't like all just like go hang out, you know. It's but it's kind of weird because we can talk to each other, but I guess it just shows you that like human presence is about more than just faces and voices and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's like actually being in a community with living creatures like yourself.
Living creatures.
You know?
Now,
I mean, I struggle with being able to just like read right now. You know what I mean? Like my mind is kind of racing. I'm trying to wind down, and I don't. The time is kind of bizarre, so I don't really know what time it is. You know, but I know I'm working 8 to 5. I get up in the morning and I'm at my computer, but then the time just kind of stretches and then compresses, and then it gets weird at night. You know,
it's weird at night. Yes,
it's very strange.
That's apt.
It gets weird at night. That'd be a good title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I do so much more reading and watching of TV and creating. I don't know what
you're reading a lot more, Nora?
No, I thought I would be reading a lot more.
Oh, yeah. I'm really my kid Anodyne sets a good example. She's teaching herself skateboarding and basketball and drawing and stuff, and it's just like, you know, and she still has time for like, you know, angry flare-ups at me.
Hey. Maybe that's adolescence. Yeah.
Awesome.
But, no, she's been doing great, and everyone's real sad about the cats right now. But but also happy about the new cats.
So Marya, let's go back to you and talk a little bit about. So we talked about the Tannex and we talked about your quarantine experience. Now, what's come out of the Tannex and your quarantine experience is Tannex Radio. So that's a podcast.
It is
we're
a
familiar
podcast
with the concept of. So tell us about that. What's the idea there?
Well, I decided to give myself a challenge, which is to create a podcast for every Friday night in May. So I'm editing one right now, which will air tomorrow at 10. That's basically my ballpark is 10 p.m. on Friday nights through May. So the first one was a few weeks ago. It was with Chichara and Cthulhu. That's Monica DeMarco, and Big Awad, that's Marisa DeMarco, and Lady Uranium, and that's Mara Woody. So I played, you know, I decided I wanted to it was really hard to let go of the Tannex, you know, really hard, you know, to not be able to plan shows and things like that. And I just thought, gosh, you know, there've been so many people to come through there, and so many friends, and so many people who support the place, and then so much music. So why not, you know, create a platform, you know, a place for the Tannex to live, you know. So that's why Tannex Radio. And I think I'm going to extend through May, you know. I'm learning to edit. I'm learning to put it all together. Every episode is a little bit different, and I'm enjoying it. You know, it's nerve-wracking, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But it's also fun, and it's nice to have that finished product, you know, or unfinished, you know, badly edited product. But, you know, done is better than perfect.
That's our whole thing. Right? Yeah. You wouldn't have a podcast.
Done is better than perfect. That's my that's what I'm going off on this one, and it's helping. It's actually helping to have a little bit of shape to my week, and a pressing deadline that I want to hold for myself, at least, you know.
Right. Where can we listen to it?
You can listen to it on SoundCloud. You just go to SoundCloud the Tannex, and you'll find it. And yeah, so the first week I just told you about that one. Last week I talked with Yo-Yo Punks, who is a local artist who essentially just started playing live very recently before the Rona, and Laz Nance Letcher. So we had an evening called Harriet's Brood. So it was, you know, Black diaspora music experiences. So it's 3 different perspectives, and it was really fun to talk to both of them. We talked about a lot of things. And then this upcoming week, tomorrow, I'll be talking with Jessica Mills, who is a local artist and instructor, teacher, badass zinester, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Playing some of her music, but then playing music of her collaborators also. So it'll be kind of an interesting cross section of things.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And how have you enjoyed the process?
It has been grueling.
Yeah.
Basically the hardest part for me right now is knowing what those best practices are. That's the hard part. Like organizing your files, or making sure you can convert things easily, not getting distracted. Those are the hard things, about it's not hard to talk to people. It's hard to really take that and hear it in your head before you design it. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot of listening, even when you're not actually working on it. It's like, how do I want to hear this? How do I want to experience this? But I love doing it. I love that when it's done and it's uploaded and it exists, it feels like I've done something this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. No,
you have
that's
this
really
product
important too. And not just like work or whatever.
Yeah, I've done something for myself, but hopefully also for my community, that we can't be in rooms together. We can't enjoy music in public, live together. And so I'm hoping that kind of fills a little bit of that space,
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you had anybody do performances just for the podcast, or is it kind of stuff you already?
No, not yet. I've been kind of curating recordings. I've been asking for some recordings, and then kind of deciding which to use and where. I may have a live event, as I get more interested in broadcasting live.
And depending on how many months go by, where
right. I mean, in December for sure. Definitely gonna have live event. No, I don't know. I'm gonna see. I think June is gonna be another cool collection of artists who've played the Tannex, and then we'll see what happens in July. I think there might be some opening by then. We may have outdoor events, planning some, potentially having a drive-in at the Tannex.
Whoa, good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's doing it, right? But hey, we have a white wall, and we've got parking.
Totally.
So.
Yes. Very
yes.
nice.
Yeah. So thinking about safety and how we can do that safely, make sure everybody is taken care of and thought of. So it may take some organizing, some planning, but that's in the works. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
So we thought tonight we'd try to take advantage of the visual aspect of what we're doing here and do a little show and tell. So I asked Nora and Mike to search out some visual stuff for us to watch tonight. So maybe who wants to go first for show and tell?
I can.
Okay, let's go. First of all, what's that thing behind you?
So
what's
this is
virtual background.
Tawapa. Am I saying that right, Mike?
Oh, Tawapa.
Tawapa. I found it spelled Tawapa mostly, sometimes Tewapa, Towapa. It's in Placitas, and it's a commune. It was a commune, 1971 to about 1983, although most accounts say the golden years, 71 to 72, and then some, they said a hippie map got published with all the communes in America. And so with this map, it brought a lot of traffic of people and looking to do hippies. Drugs and some baddies in Placitas.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. And this guy, Porter Deese, who I believe, from what I can see, is still a realtor in New Mexico, has written most about it from what I found online. And the opening of how he found it is so, perfect. He says, quote, "We found this beautiful valley in spring and this beautiful naked girl. She said, 'Hi, how you doing? I live in this commune called Tawapa. Why don't you come down and have dinner and hang out?' So
They're like,
did."
yeah.
Yeah.
What? Okay. That's
So
weird.
what's that, Mike?
It's a book I have that has a chapter on Placitas and Tawapa in it. An old Penguin book from the early 70s. Communes, USA.
Now you've written about Tawapa a bit too, Mike.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm really
Can I share a screen while Mike talks, or while someone? Or
no, you do your thing. I'm gonna
you talk, because I'm gonna show you the Tawapa pictures. There's not a lot.
Share your screen.
When I did my book Towns of the Sandia
host
Mountains, I had a
disabled
chapter
it.
on Placitas, and so of course I tried to get some commune information, and I had some really interesting interviews. I talked to a number of hippies that had lived there. I got to look at the old watercolor book that the leader of the communes at one point, Ulysses S. Grant, Donald Waskey, put together, his crazy fascist laws, Christian theo-fascist laws.
And I just want to say, he didn't just name himself Ulysses S. Grant. This was the guy who believed he was the reincarnation.
Yeah, and his horse was the reincarnation of Ulysses S. Grant's horse. He was actually from Chicago. He was like a really well-educated English professor, but he was nuts. He thought he was Vulcan.
Is there a picture of him? Did he look like Ulysses?
I've seen pictures of him before. If you watch the movie Cycle Escape, he actually narrates a little part of it where they visit the communes back then, and he walks people through.
Okay.
Or Peter Coyote, his memoir, Sleeping Where I Fall, he writes about Ernest, or what's his name? Ulysses S. Grant. Oh wow, Tawapa.
And then this is Porter. Sorry, this is his dugout home. You can see this is one of a blog post about it. Him building it. Oh, this is the original account.
A very modern wave of colonization, huh?
Yeah, this one we saw.
Placitas is interesting because it's
this was just
there was a native population displaced by the Spanish by white miners after that, and then the hippies came in as a whole other invasion, and then since then it's been the bedroom community crowd, like the rich people that want multi-million-dollar homes and stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone's still fighting over water up there. They're the most divided community ever. I've never met such a dysfunctional, gossipy attic community. A lot of cool people, but
I thought this was interesting. In Googling, I came upon this jewelry company, and you can see it's this woman-owned and run company for nearly 20 years. We are named after the commune in the American Southwest, where our owner designer Phoebe Durland was raised. Which gets its name from the Hopi word for, quote, sun spring. So we could buy jewelry to
amazing. Wow, what a
harness
find.
This
harness a Tawapa.
Yeah.
Is it an energy that you harness through these earrings?
Yes, the $110 middle finger ones. I'm kind of
eyeing. Yes.
Can you
those are pretty
see
cool,
those? I know, those are kind of cool.
I need those.
Papa, give us a cut of your sales.
They're not terrible. Huh.
No.
I think that's cool.
What is Tawapa spelled backwards? Anybody good at that?
Apawat?
That sounds good too.
Yeah.
When I was researching that area, I got to know this guy, Lynn Montgomery, who still lives on a commune that's never completely gone away called Lower Farm. It's kind of by Tawapa. Tawapa is just one of many. There's Tawapa, Dome Valley, Lower Farm, Minerva Nuevo, which was Ulysses S. Grant's weird one. And,
there's Ulysses S. Grant right here.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Okay.
He ran for governor of New Mexico, but refused to wear shoes, so that cramped his campaigning style. Also refused to get into a car.
Rough.
Then he murdered 2 people.
Ooh,
he went on the run.
Deal breaker.
Yeah. So
do Do you
He
remember?
was found in a cabin in Idaho, shot to death, and the cabin was burned down with a hastily harvested field of marijuana behind him. Supposedly, I've
Jeez.
interviewed the guy that helped him escape.
Yeah, bad end. Placitas coming.
Yeah,
Terrible. Sounds terrible.
yeah, but that's a
And
crazy
you say
story
he
of-
rode his horse, right? But again, his horse
was the
wasn't just a
reincarnation
horse.
of Grant's horse too, supposedly.
It was the
Are you
reincarnation of Ulysses Grant's horse. So
My
you know,
my favorite
Wow.
Ulysses S. Grant story. I love this story. So this woman told me that when she was a little girl growing up in Placitas, she was standing at the school bus one day, just like cursing the world because she didn't want to go to school. And Ulysses S. Grant rode up on a horse by her, and he goes, "Hey, little girl, going to school?" She's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You don't like to go to school, do you?" And she's like, "No." And she's like, what does he say? Vote. Oh, tell your parents to vote for me, and you'll never have to go to school again. And
No.
he just rode off on his horse, and that's amazing. Like, I just think that's
What
a
a
great
what a
little tale.
figure. God.
Like, like, well, he
Wait,
would just end all school.
Wait, didn't the idea of the lobbyist start with Ulysses S. Grant? The people used to
Oh,
walk
the original.
the
Yeah.
hotel, like, and be like, "Excuse me, sir, I've got to ask you a question."
I have this
Gotta
box
tell you
of
about
money
my
for
problem.
you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think lobbyist comes from
Hmm.
that, from his experience.
Huh.
Anybody confirm that? I don't know.
Interesting.
That's what I heard.
But that's
No
interesting.
idea.
I used to know Bob Cooper, grandson of the Presbyterian family, you know, that owned and started the hospital, and he had known Ulysses S. Grant, and he still had in his house a wire sculpture of a man, like that was hanging up on the wall that had been made by him. It was pretty good. It was cool.
Wire sculpture
I mean,
of a man made
but he was
by
a murderer and
reincarnation.
abusive to women. He hit a woman in the store in the stomach with a door. Sorry, I like conflated words in my head. He hit a woman in the stomach with a door who was pregnant, and that's what he was
Oh.
confronted about that caused him to murder those two men. And
Oh,
supposedly he
God.
was having a Vietnam flashback. I mean, he was a super not
What?
great dude.
Oh my God. That's
Well,
scary.
Yeah.
I have a quick question then.
Yeah.
What do you think is kind of the future of communes in
Oh.
light of COVID?
Because they kind of come around in response to
Yeah, I've seen people
conditions
talking
that
about him.
Yeah.
yeah.
They seem like a cause and effect, like, kind of thing. I wonder what will happen with the
Yeah.
communes that exist, and if they're like, I'm curious about like who actually owns the land,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and then, you know, what might pop up next. Like, I've been thinking, this is not here in town. I apologize. I know the scope of the podcast, but
Oh no,
I've been
that's
in
cool.
this place called Christiania, and it's in Copenhagen.
Huh.
And it's an anarchist collective that
Cool.
owns, like, I don't know how many acres, but it's like in like a very, you know, busy section of Copenhagen, and it's its own town,
That's neat.
own laws, own everything.
Whoa.
And I
Whoa.
think maybe like 300 people live there,
Yeah.
you know, but it was pretty cool and pretty peaceful, and I kind of wonder, you know, I'm sure it has its own problems, but they deal with them. It's not considered part of Copenhagen, you know.
Interesting. I want to
basically.
start
Yeah.
an intentional living community. Someday, if I get a lot of money, I want to just get a huge piece of land, divide it, give it to cool artists, you know, and just be like, let's make this an awesome place. You know, let's leave each other alone and be generally respectful. I think anarchy can work for small groups. You can just discuss your problems and like try to leave each other alone for the most part. It's only when you get bigger societies that you need to start looking out for.
I mean, it seems like it worked there.
Yeah.
There's got to be like a
totally.
hump that you go over, like,
Right.
you know, when you're first starting out, you're inexperienced,
Right.
and you don't know how to necessarily like subsist
Yeah.
off of the
Right.
food you grow or whatever. Plus, you have to deal with all the people craziness.
Yeah.
You're always going to have to deal with like people problems, right?
Ultimately,
So-
yeah.
Is that maybe just too much at the beginning for most groups, and they just
I wonder.
can't do it? And maybe if they've been around a while, like this Christiana place,
I don't know. I would guess there's some like constructive criticism practices,
Yeah.
or, you know, something like that, something based in like group dynamics, and like, you know, the confederacies that you know inspired this nation, you know, using some Iroquois, you know, wampum you know. There are a lot of ways to create collective healthy groups, you know, that do inspire change and things like that. But I don't know if we will remember how to do that when this is over.
I mean, I don't know that I remember how to do that, man.
know.
Like there are times like
Right?
in my family where it's just like, I want to go start my own group outside in the treehouse. This is my own family now. I live in the treehouse.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
A fair point, I think. A fair question.
Oh, here's a picture of Grant too in this book.
Yeah,
Nope.
right.
Wow. Well,
Oh, gross! He kissed us.
Did you have any other kind of visual stuff you wanted to share there?
Well, this is then I don't know how well, everyone knows because you've all been there, the internet rabbit holes. But these were the things that, you know, gave me pleasure, made me laugh, or made me feel happy. I was thinking of the doghouse because I used to live so close to it.
Oh, yeah,
and I found this website, drawntheroadagain.com. And this artist, Chandler O'Leary, sorry, I'm still, okay, basically draws stuff she sees, and she has a series on Route 66.
Oh, that's cool.
And I just liked this doghouse depiction.
That's a lovely doghouse depiction.
Yeah.
I like that too.
I love that. I wonder if somebody has a tattoo of the doghouse dog.
They better.
Someone needs to.
Otherwise, I feel like Albuquerque's sleeping.
Yeah, that looks like it should be like a wraparound ankle thing or calf thing, or I don't know.
Right?
With the three tails
Laura,
going.
get it.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
maybe I should to
I think
commemorate.
maybe I
And this
should get
is her blog. You know, and it's just
Oh.
pleasant.
She's got
Oh, look at
good
it go. Look at
Yeah.
it go.
Nice. I like it. It's like impressionistic. What do you call it?
Wow.
Yeah. So I hope the doghouse survives this.
You know, it's been around 70 something years. I think it started
So good. I miss it. I want to go there now.
1947.
Wow.
And
I feel kind of bad because I really didn't eat there very much, but I liked it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, how often do you want to eat a hot dog? And then when you do, how often do you want to go to a restaurant for said hot dog? Like it's like, oh, a hot dog. Just, you know.
All their food is good.
And then that got me into like the history of hot dogs in Albuquerque.
The history of hot dogs.
Didn't lead me anywhere historical, but I found this, which I just didn't know existed. It's a database of competitive eating, and I found that Albuquerque
in Albuquerque.
area.
Yeah, I see some of these places.
Oh my God.
Cecilia's Cafe with their fireman's burrito. There's so many of them. Why are there so many?
I guess these, I think the ones with C mean they were completed. You can see they don't have a date, but I don't.
These are the ones that are like the challenges. So like if you go to K&I Diner and you order the Travis on a silver platter, it's just a thing that they challenge you to eat, and then if you eat it, they take your picture and your meal's free, which is a really terrible prize because by that point you're in terrible pain.
Oh my God.
It'd be like the least they can do is give you a ride to the hospital or something.
I know.
But have you been to K&I Diner?
No.
Over here, K&I Diner. It's down on Broadway in the South Valley kind of. And it's been around forever. But the Travis is this monstrous beef and bean burrito. But you can order a quarter Travis and get, you know, a taste of what it is.
A quarter Travis.
And it's still too much to eat, frankly. You're still like, I shouldn't have ordered that. So
oh jeez.
Only the truly sick.
Okay.
You know what? I think I have something to share.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can share it without. Can I just wait? Photos, right? Can you see anything yet?
No,
because you gotta share your screen.
Okay.
No, that's perfect. I don't want you to see anything yet.
Okay, well, mission accomplished.
Okay, can you see that?
Nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I love this place.
Remember, So I walked by this Mart grocery place on the way to go get bread, weekly, and I love these drawings so much. They're just
And
so
they've
great.
changed. They've been different at different points, haven't they?
I don't know. These look pretty faded. I mean, it's it is like very bright sun, so it's not like, but I just really love them. I've got a couple more I can show you because I just took a crap load as I was walking by, and I've got a picture of the Tannex. I can show you some changes over there. Okay, so take a look at this one.
Oh,
nice.
It's just sweet.
So pleasing,
so sweet. But then I'm worried about one of them that's a little bit. I'm not sure about this one.
Oh boy.
That milk's gonna blow.
Did that go bad? And it's like,
some gases are being released.
Just careful. But
open that lid slowly, if at all.
But you know what? I don't know. If you asked me to draw a gallon of milk, I don't think I can do it.
No.
I don't think I can't do it. There's I gotta share this one too. I just took so many, but I love the eggs.
Yeah,
nice
huevos.
They're real cute.
Yeah.
It's real cute.
I swear, back in the 90s, this place had slightly different paintings.
Maybe. Probably.
That was a long time
That was when
ago.
bios had those nightmarish people on the side of it. Does anyone remember that?
No, I don't. What were they doing?
No, I don't know.
All right. They were like all, bios on Manal. They had like these three people really enjoying electronics.
Right.
It was dramatic figures in my youth.
And here's the Tannex.
Hey.
So here's the Tannex. If you haven't seen, just so you can see the mural we were talking about earlier, this is the Al Hurricane mural, and there's a signature right there.
Oh,
nice.
Which is cool. And then
this was paint by number, which is cool.
It was paint by number. So I've got a photo of it just, with just the black and white. And then everybody came in and filled in all the
That's
color
really cool.
and everything. It was really fun to do. And then this is 1415 Gallery next door. They've painted over the mural that was on the wall there. So who knows what's coming next? It's going to be interesting to see. And then this is kind of the wall we kind of want to put, show some shows, movies and things on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome. Thanks for letting me share.
Oh, thanks for sharing.
This is the original doghouse sign and location. Pretty cool, right?
I love that too.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I saw that they were voted best hot dogs in New Mexico on People Magazine's best hot dogs in every state. So
they are good. They've got good shakes and the really cool inner decor. They've got all the bricks are painted different colors, and it's very Wes Anderson.
It's been around since 1947, which is just like
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Cool. And in the current location since 1967.
Nice. It's got good
The guy who owned it in 1967 still owns it.
Wow.
Which is
wow.
I have some cool Placidus images really quick.
Yeah.
This is this book is called Shelter. It's about cool houses. It was like kind of famous in the 70s counterculture in the late 70s. But look at that. I mean, the Placidus commune buildings were like these cool art projects and stuff. And like, I mean, just really amazing. Like this one, I love this one. Let's see. I mean, look at that, like epic, like it was like a cathedral or something on a stained glass ocean.
This is in Placidus?
Yeah, that was in Placidus. Like the communes, a lot of them have really like artistic elements.
What are they like now, Mike? Like
they're pretty much not there. They got bulldozed. They all had leaky ceilings and stuff like that. Like
there's still some like geodesic domes though, right?
Yeah, Dome Valley is still there, and those are really cool. That's kind of near the Placidus Church, the old Presbyterian. But this is a really neat book, not just for the Placidus stuff, but it's got excellent commune stuff in it.
Well, should we go to your books then? You have some books.
Oh, yeah.
You have a quarantine reading list, an Albuquerque quarantine reading list.
All right. So these are all books about Albuquerque. And if you order them, find some way around Amazon because they're like
Bookworks.
Yeah, like
Bookworks will deliver it free to your house, or at least they did last time I was there. Treasure House will do it too.
Right. There's also websites like Alibris.
Yeah,
I think they're still around.
But you can order pretty much anything at Bookworks.
Yeah. So this is just I was trying to get just like 10 books that I thought like were good to read if you live in Albuquerque. So there's a range here. My first one is 2. It's this pair of Albuquerque almanacs that came out in 2009 and 2010. Lisa Barrow has a chapter in one. I've got a chapter in one. But they're like really, there's so much good stuff in here. Bob Julian has a chapter in here about Juan Tabo and where that name came from. Yeah. These are like these are a really good little database of Albuquerque info, and I wish they were still around. They're from a group called it's like Pushing a Broom Press or something. Like let's see here. That's not it. Street Sweeper Press. That's
Pushing a broom and being
just remembered that one. Well, and this one is, I've quoted this in so many articles. If you want a good collection of information about the east side of town, this book is essential. Harris Canyon by Linda Cordell. It's so cool. It's like there's specific info in here that I've just never found anywhere else, but she cites her sources and it's all really reliable.
Oh, I need to look at that book because I've got a ghost story.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, yeah, I love this book.
Something happened to me in Harris Canyon.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm curious about what kind of settlements were there,
Oh yeah. Well, there were many Native American settlements for a long time. All along it. There's one particular site still called Silver Ruin that's been excavated, but Linda Cordell describes Harris Creek just being lined with bands of corn as wide as lanes of roads,
Yeah, and what about, is there a chapter on Frost Road? Because I need to know.
Well, she might mention it, but like my book might have as much as anything. I didn't include that in this list.
I'll talk to you about that later.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is the etiquette with a ghost story? Are we allowed to like, you seem like you don't maybe want to talk about it too much right now.
Not in this episode.
Okay.
Oh.
We'll come back to that. All right.
All
right.
Have me back for the October.
Oh yeah.
One.
Will there be an October?
Yes.
We should do another fun one like we did.
I don't know. It might all be over, but maybe there might be an October.
Yeah, we'll do another fun one. What did Marya see in Harris Canyon?
Yeah.
That'll be
right. Oh, nice.
Stay tuned.
We are also very close to the Air Force Base down there too, so that's always something to factor in. A lot of mysterious lights come straight off.
True. Yeah.
But switching to the other side of town, this is maybe the one of only 1 or 2 books, and they're all booklets really about the volcanoes and about.
You got to give us name and author.
Yeah.
Oh, Petroglyph National Monument from Western National Parks Association.
Cool.
If you want information on the volcanoes, there's just not that many books. I have a couple of other staple bound ones that I got like at the ranger stations there, but it's got full color photos and you can read it in like 20 minutes, but it's good information on that area. I like to know stuff, And this is one of my favorite books about Albuquerque.
Oh yeah.
Kenneth
A Boy's
Balcom,
Albuquerque. By author?
Kenneth Balcom, A Boy's Albuquerque. It's just a fantastic memoir of growing up here, 100 or so years ago.
It is really pretty great.
Over. This is I want to kind of do a book like this about Albuquerque today someday in some way. But this is Erna Ferguson's Albuquerque, and I just love it's just a survey of the city as she knew and loved it in the 40s. And
that's Franz Hooning's.
Yeah, she had a racist grandfather, but let's not hold it against her.
As far as I can tell, she wasn't racist.
Yeah, she seems great. And she donated her house to be a library. Like, yay, Erna Ferguson.
Oh, the Erna, yeah.
And I love her writing style in that book. Just it's very breezy sort of description of Albuquerque in the 1940s. It's actually enjoyable to read. I
like this book exactly.
90% of all books.
Yeah.
Is it out of print? Is it in print?
It probably is. Yeah,
but it's not uncommon either. Yeah. Like you can get a copy.
Okay.
Erna Ferguson. It's like it's got great old fonts and block prints and stuff.
Oh, I love the
I love
illustrations.
it.
That is,
I
Yeah.
love it.
I think
Yes.
Ty gave me this copy, didn't you, Ty? Thank
Did
you.
I? Yeah,
I
probably.
think you did. You're like, I got an
Aw.
extra. Really nice.
Yeah. So I have
This
one with
next
the
one
dust
is
jacket.
too also. This is a fantastic walking guide to Albuquerque by Stephen Usherman, old local pal of mine.
Mm.
Walking Albuquerque. I'm quoted in it talking about one of the ditches. It's a
perfect.
really cool book that just like walk around the city. You don't have to leave at all. And then this is the one I paired with that. This is his novel about Albuquerque, and it's
Typical
so dark and
Pitts.
messed up. And I love it. It's so good. This is like one of the best books set here. And it's like about these two friends and they're trying to play this game where they like are proving they have no ethics by being more unethical than the other person.
Oh God.
And it's like they're horrible and they get their just desserts as it goes on. But it's like it's a really interesting book and it uses the locations here so well. Poppin' Taco is in there. Rest in peace.
What?
Rest in peace.
You know,
Oh.
the West Side, the South Valley. You can tell the author really knows and likes the area. But this is a booklet, but this is about Toronto. This is a really cool little. I wish there was one of these for every part of the city, because it's just like a little like mini Arcadia book, basically about the neighborhood of Toronto, which was its own village. And
Yeah, I
it's
should
pretty-
get
it's got a
that.
picture.
That's northwest of Old Town.
Right. Yeah.
Between
like,
Old Town and
Yeah.
the river going north.
Right. It's really neat. There's like
It's kind of near the Range Cafe over there.
It is. It's right by that.
I
Yeah.
forgot there was a Range Cafe over
Yeah.
there.
But
Mhm.
what's interesting is like pre flood controls and stuff on the river, that part of town was just known for flooding all the time, and everybody had boats, and they would
Oh.
all these flooded field areas yazoos, and they would
Just
like
have to
run
go
across the
boating
yazoos.
down
Like,
Rio Grande.
That's hard to imagine.
No, that's
And-
true. I've seen a bunch of photos from
Yeah.
like that end of 4th Street and like
Oh, yeah.
the north area where
Yeah.
it was flooded out. Like it was one particular year where there were
Right.
like Model Ts that were like
Yeah.
water above the tires. 'cause
Totally.
it was, the roads were flooded.
Dang.
Well, from what I heard, Rio Grande, 4th Street, and Broadway were all called El Camino Real at different times because the river would flood all the way out there, and whatever street was still above water, that was El Camino Real.
They'd
So
have
you
to
would
switch
just-
it around.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, it'd just be like you just go north, and whatever street you're on, that's El Camino Real, and you'll get to Santa Fe eventually.
That's crazy.
Okay.
I wish rivers could just all flow free, like it makes me so sad to read about the Rio Grande or the
Yeah.
Colorado being all turned into plumbing.
Right.
Philip Fradkin's book, A River No More, about the Colorado, I was just like in mourning from reading that. I'm just like, it's wrong. I don't think we should do this. Like we're just like, you can't dam a river without just destroying an ecosystem, and multiple usually. But speaking of parts of town, this is Chris Wilson's excellent University Neighborhood History Handbook.
So
Available, as far as I
I
know.
like the look of that.
Yeah, it's only available for $5 at the Book Stop, that little like Quarters Nest bookstore next to the Cornell Post Office. I love
long
it.
gone.
I'm
isn't
not
it?
knocking it, but
What?
No, that's not the Book Stop. That's
what's that place called? The Bookshelf?
Yeah, it's
I
another
think so.
bookstore, but it's not the Book Stop. Book Stop's
I
long
like
gone.
it.
It's next
good.
to the post office. Did you say that already? Yeah.
Yeah,
on,
that's
Cornell.
what.
I just
This is-
remembered. I think I have like $25 worth of credit at that bookstore.
Oh my gosh.
So-
What?
In a
You should
wig.
go and use it.
All
this-
right.
I forgot about that until you just said that.
Next time you're in town.
Something this book restores a little bit is, the phrase student ghetto has a lot of problematic connotations, and I try not to ever use it, even though it's so in usage. That area used to be called
It's
the
easy to
University
fall
Heights.
into.
That's a great
Yeah.
name. Let's bring back that name, University
Well, I
Heights.
think I think Jen's a big proponent of taking that name and bringing it back.
Yeah.
Jen Simpson,
Oh,
she's
that's
part of
great.
that. It's still
Yeah.
officially University Heights.
It's
Yeah.
literally on the cornerstone of one of those churches down
Yeah.
like at like Silver and something. Okay, I'll try to move through these quickly here. But this is such a good book, City at the End of the World by V.B. Price. This
The
is
inspiration for our podcast name, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. We were
Yeah.
going to call our podcast The City at the End of the World, and Ty wrote the name down wrong, or we remembered it wrong or something. It came out of a bar conversation.
Yeah.
But,
Aw.
and then we were like, well, we are a city on the edge too. So
And then now forever, it's like if you do a Google search for us, you come to a Star Trek episode called City on the Edge of Forever, which is actually really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This book is full of beautiful, good insights, though, and it's like really values like the things that make our city unique, and that talk about it just like talks about like just our isolation. How many cities just have this much desert around it,
Yeah,
And,
that's true.
like and have such an ancient history, and like we have literally a circle of like ancient communities all around us on every side. How amazing is that? Like,
yeah.
think about that and like value that. That's a great book. This is harder to find, but I love this book. It's so full of good stuff. It has helped me so many times.
What is it?
It's Mountains, Valley, Water, and Volcanoes.
Nice. Who's it by?
It's by it's in the series of by the New Mexico Bureau of Mines and Mineral Resources. So I heard they're getting the Pulitzer for Literature next year. That's great. No, but it's so full of
like really
so many cool drawings of like the city when it's flooded. Not drawings, photos, and early Arroyo photos and stuff. A lot of stuff about drainage.
Fans of drainage here on the podcast, and of course the classic. I was trying to get you that
classic
book, Nora.
This one is from Ty too, actually.
Which one?
This one,
Albuquerque Narrative History.
It's so good.
Criminally out of print.
I mean, it's out of print.
This book.
Can you ever find it?
You can find it by hunting the internet.
Yeah.
So I just need to do that some more.
I have seen copies at the antique mall, but they can get really expensive. And
that's a paperback
you just
copy.
Did some creepy, glitchy thing, man. But this picture on the front is in the Albuquerque Museum, one of the original.
Yeah, that's Old Town. Look, Old Town with people.
Yeah.
People racing by on their trap carriages.
Right.
And
Old Town, take a look at yourself. You're a lot like this cover. Song. And then this is okay. It's kind of good. I don't know.
You should definitely buy a few copies, even if you don't like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, all the stuff you should have forgotten, Albuquerque. No, look who wrote it.
By Tannerman.
Oh, yeah.
By Tannerman.
Yeah.
But Ty, get this. I think it's so cool. So I gave my copy of your book away a long time ago. And when I recently got to kind of inherit a bunch of books from Mara's grandfather's collection after her grandmother died and her house got cleaned out, this was among his collection. So
that's cool.
I think that's super cool.
I gave it to my grandpa one Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Grandpas love that book.
Sign it.
Yeah, it's a good grandpa. Well, everybody should buy it, but
so that's my dozen books, more or less. Maybe I'll write it up and put it on somewhere on our feed or something like that.
That would be great.
But in general, I advise it's cool to read books about where you live because it's exciting, and not just Albuquerque, but New Mexico and the West and America and planet Earth, because it's just good to know about. It provides so much richness and makes it feel like a more meaningful place to be.
Buy books and read them.
Yay books.
Yay books.
Books.
Well, I have a movie to share.
Oh, nice.
It's 8 minutes long. There's like a couple minutes I could easily skip, but I don't know. Are you up for a full 8 minute? Whoa! Sorry, that was probably, you couldn't hear that, but I could. Are you guys up for a full 8 minute movie about Ernie Pyle's Albuquerque?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is, if you're not aware, the Albuquerque library system includes a tiny little house on Girard and I can't remember, Santa Monica or something like that, south of Central. It's like 4 rooms and tiny little rooms, and it is the home of Ernie Pyle, who was once upon a time an incredibly famous American that is almost completely forgotten today. Like, you could ask 5 people out of 6 and they wouldn't know who he is, probably. Who he was a war correspondent and a newspaper columnist who lived in the early part of the 20th century. He wrote a lot about all the different places he traveled to. And then when World War II broke out, he went to the European front and wrote a series of articles about the GIs there, about their experiences, focusing on not on the battles, but on the everyday soldiers, the people who came from working class backgrounds and just kind of their experience, their everyday experience. And weirdly enough, this guy decided out of nowhere to live in Albuquerque. Like he came through New Mexico at some point and loved it, and just decided that Albuquerque was the place for him. So he bought this little tiny house on Girard Avenue, lived there a couple of years with his wife, and then went to the European front in World War II and wrote about that, then came back for a little while, and then went to the Pacific Theater, I guess, and wrote about the war there, and then was killed by a sniper's bullet on one of the islands out there. So his wife donated the house to the Albuquerque library system, and you can go there. And anyway, this is
Oh wait, it's the first branch.
Is it the first branch?
It's the first branch library of the Albuquerque library system.
Other than the
cool.
original library, this is the first one that wasn't the original.
Wow.
That's
First
so cool.
branch.
Thank you for
That's
pointing that out.
cool.
Yeah.
I love knowing that.
And if you go there,
Yeah.
it's got like pictures of him. Like there's still like a drawing or a painting that he did in the bathroom. They've got a bunch of his stuff there. So cool. So this little video is this is a film produced in 1945 while World War II was still going on, but after he had died. He died in 1945. And it is a repurposing of his essay, Why Albuquerque, where he wrote about why he had chosen to live in Albuquerque. And it's kind of mashed up with some other essays that he wrote, and then also maybe some straight up propaganda. And it's got some great photos, great film snippets of Albuquerque in the 1940s. So let me just go ahead and get this shared. It does have some problematic sections, I have to say. So we'll make sure we boo those, I guess.
Wait, what's gonna? Oh, is this that horrible?
What are you showing us?
Wait, this is not that silent movie, right?
No.
Wait, are we talking during it?
Right?
Or
we can talk during it.
okay, I like that. Yeah, it's like Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So you can
Fast forward to the bad parts.
through the bad parts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably.
I can skip. I can skip through one for sure.
Okay.
What are the bad parts anyway?
I don't know.
You know, it's just talking about Native Americans and
Geez, yeah, skip through all that.
Yeah, no.
super reductive ways.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to do that, but all right.
There are lots of nice places in the world. I could live with considerable pleasure in the Pacific Northwest, or in New England, or in the Mississippi Gulf Coast, or in Key West, California, or Honolulu. But there's only one of me. I can't live in all those places. So if you can only have one house, then it has to be in New Mexico. Those are Ernie Pyle's words. This is his street. This is his house.
The now
Couldn't miss it
library.
in a million years.
That's the library.
Same old white picket fence, pinon and juniper bushes in the yard, workshop in the back. That girl, my guiding star, he called her.
That's the dog.
His dog, the
He's
shepherd,
buried
she.
in the backyard. You can see his grave.
Inside the house, the things he enjoyed.
Nice.
Ernie Pyle loved these comforts. But in 1940, he confessed a small voice came in the night and said, go. So he went.
It was propaganda.
All the farmers, lumberjacks, bartenders he used to write about were now soldiers. And Ernie had to follow them. He followed them through everything he hated.
Played by Burgess
Long
Meredith
march.
in the movie about his life.
Bitter cold.
Really?
Have you seen that, Ty?
I never have seen it. I've seen clips.
He said there were a lot of heels in the world, and they had to be licked before he and his friends could return
That
to
really
the familiar
distracted. This
land
guy
they
just
left
firing
behind.
into a cave.
Ernie's special land was his adopted state of New Mexico.
His typewriter is
He'd
on
been through
display in the
this
library now.
Every
That's
inch,
right, yeah.
and he knew it and missed it. He knew and missed Santa Fe, with its Capitol
old
building
Capitol
where
building?
politicians argue in
Wow.
English and in Spanish. With its old Palace of Governors, over which the flags of Spain, Mexico, the Confederacy, and the United States have flown.
Confederacy for about a week before they got
That's
their
right.
asses kicked in
Village to the
Glorieta.
north,
See,
Where
better
ancient
see.
pueblos gave New York City its idea for modern
I love that when they
skyscrapers.
parked their wagons in town, they were immediately robbed.
all
It's
day
so funny.
And where that great frontier scout, Kit Carson, who taught us
Oh,
many
God.
tricks against the Japs, lies
Ugh.
buried.
Yeah, we don't like you, dude.
Dallas, that quiet little town, now the center of a booming wartime coal industry. Roswell, modern city, and home of the New Mexico Military Institute,
Yeah.
where tomorrow's soldiers learn to march.
Smirk.
Silver
Traveled all over New Mexico, and Roswell's like not in my top 10, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Flourishing as a result of
I didn't
this,
know it was such a big
silver and
place
lead
back
and
then.
zinc, scooped out of the earth for the
It's all
war.
boosterism, I think.
Carlsbad Cavern,
This is cute, kind of cool.
where visitors
Except these
come
people
to
are just
see one of
singing in the
wonders of
cavern.
world.
That's
Don't
weird.
sing,
School
come on.
kids come to sing
Feeding
Rock
of the
Ages.
children to the giant bats.
All these places in New Mexico, Ernie Pyle knew and liked. But most of all, he liked just the ordinary, simple things of home. And he liked them
Ernie
unchanged.
Dog
Pyle's
was
the
named-
dog, is the twist.
In his words, these are the things he loved and fought to save. We like it
Look
here.
at this, looking out from his house.
Oh, the
What
volcano.
the hell?
That's the university, like,
Whoa.
Oh my God.
That's the good stuff.
Wow.
Makes you feel that you too are big inside.
I wish I could have seen it like that.
We like it
Wow.
because you can take a Sunday afternoon spin into the mountains. And along the way, you can see people picnicking.
can't see people picnicking
Other
anywhere
days,
else.
we like to get down on the desert early and see sunrises
I
so
assume this is
violently
White Sands, but it
beautiful.
looks like
Okay,
the
now we're in
Sahara or
like
something.
White Sands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A half hour's drive from home is the Indian reservation, Isleta. The old men work long hours
You can tell
in
it's
the
the
fields,
universe because the drums.
while the women take care of the adobe homes and bake in ancient clay ovens.
Oh, I want some fresh baked bread.
This
Yeah.
is a special occasion, Corpus Christi Day. Outside the church, Father Shaw leads a prayer for those in uniform. While
Oh,
inside,
boy.
a Pueblo mother lights a candle for her son overseas. Sometimes we like to drive out and watch the Rio Grande flowing across the state.
I guess this was where Central
Here,
Avenue was.
400 years ago,
That
the
looks pretty
Spaniards
cool.
came looking for the 7 cities of gold and instead founded Sleepy Sandoval.
Sandoval
But
is the
it's
name
not
of
all
the county
sleepy.
and not a town,
Here, the
which is
Spanish-Americans
really weird that he
work.
says they founded Sandoval.
Here
I'm
they
pretty sure they
play.
found a county.
Weird.
Sometimes we like to travel southeast.
Look,
to
don't
visit
require me to
sheepland.
go to your dirt
This
town
man is one of 3,000
do
owners.
research.
6 times as many sheep as people in New Mexico.
Number one industry in
The
New
lambs
Mexico.
are sent out
in
to
the 20th
graze and
century.
fatten, and then they're clipped. The wool becomes government issue. But above all, we like living back in Albuquerque because, well, when our friends send us letters asking about the place, we get the letters in a country mailbox instead of in a slot in the door.
Weird flex, but okay.
And we like it here because of the
Okay, this thing. Okay, so this
Hey.
is
Hey, look.
that's the Wrights Indian art building,
Oh.
which let me just do a quick screen share. Well, I'm already of what that looked like in its full glory, because that is, I think, worth checking out. It was this amazingly,
It's actually really good, listeners, viewers.
thank you, man.
Very good book. I
Oh,
wrote
You're good to me. Right.
that's so sweet.
it.
There it is. That is Wright's
Wow.
Indian
Ah.
art building. It was big, like had everything in it. But look at this crazy. It's got an orno in front.
Wow.
Supposedly
pole.
they would have a totem pole. Why not? It has nothing
Yeah.
to do with anybody who's ever lived in the Southwest,
Uh.
but sure.
Are we in Alaska or Canada?
But they tore it down in the 40s, I think,
Huh.
maybe even as late as the 70s as a part of this urban renewal thing.
I like elements of it structurally. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
cool.
It's a pretty
Different.
weird looking place. But Wright's Indian Art still exists as a company in Albuquerque for over 100 years now.
I thought that
And
sounded familiar.
they have a tiny little architectural model of this
Hmm.
place in their shop that you can go
Hmm.
and look at. Anyway, I thought
Hmm.
that was
Very
Interesting.
cool.
Worth mentioning.
Yeah.
All right, let me just go back to the movie here because now we're
Well.
getting to the Albuquerque part. Oh, and this was directed by Frank Capra.
No
Franz
way.
Capra, Frank
Jeez.
Capra.
Oh, he has
Way.
such an interesting, varied history. He also
Yeah.
did silent comedies with Harry Langdon, the forgotten silent clown.
I'll have to check
Including
that
one
out.
Tramp, that I think is one of the only movies about walking across the country besides like Wild and Walk in the Woods. It's a
Wow.
topic I'm into.
Formality. You can do almost anything you want to.
Yeah, this part is
Well, within reason.
so 10% of what follows is about ogling women.
We like it because people are friendly and interested in you, yet they leave you alone. Still, you don't suffer from over-isolation, for people here, too, live lives that are complete and full. They make grand slams, they make Sunday
vibrate.
cakes, they make landscapes beautiful,
See? Ogling.
and they make it legal.
Occidental Life
building.
Building.
There's no famine of thought in our surroundings. Everyone reads the Tribune or the Journal. There are movies,
Sunshine.
English, Spanish. There's the State University.
Hey.
We like it here
So
because
weird.
there are all kinds of people, and they get along. Harold Hubble, sheriff after serving with the 200th Coast Artillery on Bataan in 42. Clyde Tingley, mayor for 28 years, Navajo Indian. Rancher,
Yeah, we're just referring to people.
Just a
by-
nameless.
No name.
Muchacho.
No name.
and Muchacha,
Yeah.
Hey, that's
Oh.
on
Big Chief.
2nd Street.
and his tribe.
You know what? I think we
But
just
New Mexico,
I think
like
we just
everywhere
talked
else,
over
is felt
the
the war.
racist part. I mean, there's
Here,
plenty of
too,
racist
are
parts, but
women
the one
waiting
that I
for
was
their
going to
men to
skip.
come back,
It's that.
listening for any word of their sons and husbands who are away. Women who lost a whole National Guard regiment to the Japs after Pearl Harbor.
Ah!
Women waiting. Loving New Mexico is like being in love with those women.
You know.
You don't love a woman because she wears number 3 shoes or eats left-handed.
The only
You
reason
love her because you love her. And that's the way we are about the Southwest. And that's why I can't help but feel bad about leaving. Being with the American soldiers has been a rich experience. To the thousands of them I know personally, and the hundreds of thousands for whom I've had the humble privilege of being a sort of mouthpiece. This, then, is to say goodbye. And good luck.
Yep. I don't know.
Right.
what
The
guilty
part that
is.
got cut out make it make more sense. It seemed to just kind of.
Where are all the Negro soldiers? Tell
Yeah,
me.
well, they weren't. They didn't
I mean-
exist officially, right?
This shit is problematic.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
true enough.
you
True
know.
enough.
Yeah.
But however, it was really great to see buildings that I recognized. That was kind of interesting. That I
Mhm.
was, I think I was shouting, "There's Monte Vista Hall!" It
Were
looked
you?
like it looked like it. It did look like
Yeah,
it.
it did.
I saw
I think
Shoals
you're
Hall for
right.
sure
Huh.
at one
Like,
point.
Yeah,
Thought I saw Zimmerman Library.
I did a an event for Zine Fest called Seek and Zine a few years ago. Well, it was several years in a row, but one year the zine was mostly about places around the campus, and what used to be this and used to be that, and like where the I guess where I don't know which hall it is, but there is one that was like it was a men's hall. It's like one of the do you know what I'm talking about? It's near the duck pond. There was
Yeah.
and the
Was
road
it-
the road went all the way through there instead of like
right.
Yale went through the campus right
Huh.
there. Bunch
Was
of
it-
other things.
Was it like in Publist? I mean, obviously everything is at UNM.
Oh, I've heard there was a
So-
lost hall at UNM that was
Yeah.
torn down or something.
I think I
Yeah,
might
it was
have a
it was
picture
like
of it.
it was like from the 20s.
Yeah.
And then the park, it's not Roosevelt Park. What's the park that's on lead? The big park.
Oh,
It's not Roosevelt?
Roosevelt?
Because I'm thinking
Maybe-
it's Roosevelt.
Maybe it is. Okay, I get that
think
one
it
and the
is.
one downtown mixed up, but that that has rubble from the old jail.
Oh, no kidding.
Whoa.
That
Like,
shape.
Forming
how
like
it's
the
sunken.
retaining wall or something?
Yeah, like how it kind of it's sunk in like that, where it's like,
Gosh.
yeah, it's got rubble in it from the old jail under there.
Oh my
Dang.
gosh.
How cool
Yeah.
is
That's
that?
super interesting.
It's really interesting.
I wonder if
Yeah.
that's the same old jail that was like really easy to break out of that you.
It was on the
put it
corner of Central and where the Walgreens is down there in Old Town. The jail was right there.
Yeah, that's probably the one then, Mike, because we
Yeah,
read
Ty
a
did
thing.
one on Albuquerque's first sheriff who was terrible. He was basically like,
well, he was
like
a murderer. He got hanged.
he was.
Well, I thought you were referencing that movie where the guy breaks out of jail. You know,
Is this so? This is supposedly a girls' dormitory. I mean, it is a girls' dormitory at UNM back in the 20s or something.
I think
wondering
is
if
it
that's
like?
what you're talking
I
about.
think that's Hokona.
No, well, it's not the current Hakona. It might be the old Hakona.
It might be in the same area.
Wow.
You know, I can't tell. I mean, obviously,
there's a couple of like. I love
Oh
this
my gosh,
picture of
that's
you
crazy.
and
Hey, there's where you defended your dissertation, Ty.
That's right.
One of those. Which one's Hodgin?
and
this
that's the
one's
old.
Hodgin
That's
Hall.
the oldest building
yeah.
on campus, right?
The oldest
Hodgin?
yeah, I think that was the original, like the only building for a long
at one
time.
point.
Well, for a few years.
UNM.
I've got the color wheel of death here, so I can't get to the thing I was trying to show you.
I failed algebra 3 times in like one of those little barren plots of ground there in the foreground.
Oh.
No, I didn't fail it 3 times. I dropped it twice because I was gonna fail it, and
then you did fail it.
had to restart it.
The cowbird's failure. That's what I always did.
Yeah. So what's going to happen now that with COVID-19 and being inside buildings? Are we going to like move outdoors? Have all of our classes outside? Like
Whoa. Yeah,
like
my
back in the
kids are
day?
saying they might alternate days. Some students will go Monday, Wednesday, Friday one week, and then Tuesday, Thursday the next week.
Yeah.
And they might cut. There's also some talk of making 4-day weekends, even if it's on 4-day school days, even if it's online. Because like kids are like just spending more time on computers, and there's a negative.
It's kind of awful, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of from what I've heard, it's just still people trying to figure out what's going to be the reality. I mean, it could get way worse. 1918 just dragged on forever. It was like the 1918, 1919, 1920 flu. It was bad,
Don't you kind of wonder, like, if the pandemic brought about all the the jazz age?
Yeah, huh?
Let's
get out and party.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder what's going to happen in 3 years.
I'm in. I mean, give me something besides the Trump years. I'll take it.
Like, I can't wait to go dancing. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're gonna like let it all loose, right? In like 3 years.
We have a comment from Janet Pauly on our page here. She says, I recently read 2 books by Francel Alexander on the history of the North Valley, Los Griegos and Los Candelarias, the first book, and the second is Alameda and Los Ranchos, basic history with some good photos. So check those out as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for
That's
those.
awesome.
Yeah, we'll check that. We'll check those out.
If you go and visit Farm and Table, you can see the owner Sherry Montoya is the owner of that property, but she is the great granddaughter of a woman who bought that land, and it was parceled out to the daughters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So you can kind of walk around there and see lots of the fields as they existed when her great grandmother came to the valley, to this valley from Mexico.
That's cool.
Saved her money and bought 5 acres of land.
Dude, I'm always amazed when I hear about people saving money, because I
know. I'm like, how do you do that?
It's a totally foreign concept.
Wait, like,
For
what do you do when you need to spend it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm gonna turn into a green chili soon.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good sign. I mean, we've gone through the things, so I don't know.
I have to edit a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last thoughts,
so fun,
and if you need to run, that's
nice
fine.
To see all your faces.
Last thoughts before we go. Anybody?
It's been a great time. Thank you so much for hosting and doing this for so long. It's been so great.
Always happy
Marya,
to
for
hang out with you, Marya.
It's fun to talk and see photos and your faces, your beards and hair.
My beard.
Ann and I cut my hair.
We need to work on ours.
I know. Here's my beard.
We even had a few people watching, so that was
that's
great.
nice.
And
Thank
commenting
you guys.
and
Hi,
watching
people.
and commenting. So thank you guys as
Everyone.
well. This was fun. Probably do something like it again sometime.
I have a giant box of books if someone wants to come pick them up, but I, take the risks. So I'll put it in front of my house.
Knowledge is dangerous.
Message me or something.
Sounds a little threatening.
Is there like an etiquette for ending a live stream? Do we?
I know. I always
no. It's always awkward.
Take our deaths.
Not ready for that, man. Okay, Mike died. That's the end. So
There.
thank you guys.
Mike,
thank you, Marya. Thank you, Nora. Good to see you. Bye,
Later.
Mike.